Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Nate Elliott. I'm with Forrester Research, and for anyone who doesn't know Forrester, we're a global research and consulting firm. We try to help our clients make better decisions in a world in which technology is fundamentally changing their customers and their customers' behaviors. And oh my, how your customers' behaviors have changed in the past 5 years, in the past 10 years, indeed in the last 20 years. And I want to start this afternoon by asking you to think back to what you were doing on this day in 1993. 19 years ago, May 9th, 1993. Just to put you in the right frame of mind, I'll remind you that here in Germany, Helmut Kohl was in charge of a newly reunified country. In Britain, John Major was at number 10. And in my home country, the US, we just inaugurated Bill Clinton for the first time. Quite a lot's changed for me in that time, as I'm sure it has for you. You may have finished your education, started to work, maybe gotten married and had a family. A lot of those changes happen naturally just as we get older. But a lot of the change in the last 20 years has also been driven by technology. Because it was in 1993 that the World Wide Web was created. And when you remember the first time you ever used the web, I bet you remember just how amazing it seemed. In fact, we didn't call it the web back then. We called it the World Wide Web because its global nature, its ability to let us see content from anywhere around the world was incredible to us. Those blue underlined words, we didn't call them links. We called them hyperlinks because the web was a place of hypermedia. We used fantastical language to describe this tool because we knew it had fantastical possibilities. We knew it could change a lot about our lives and how we live them. And so we fast forward to 2012, and indeed, it has changed quite a lot about how we live and how we communicate. For instance, it's fundamentally changed peer-to-peer media and how we talk to our friends and our family members. Back then, if I wanted to send a message to somebody, I would have actually had to find a pen and a piece of paper and go down to the post office. Today, of course, if I'm waiting for communication from someone I know, I'm not going to wait by the post box. I'm simply going to log on to Facebook and look for that little red flag. Likewise, the web has changed a lot about professional content and media. If you wanted to listen to some hit music in 1993, you may well have put on a song by Whitney Houston called I Will Always Love You. It's the first #1 hit single in most countries back in '93. And if you were listening to that song, and I won't ask you to embarrass yourselves by admitting it, but if you were listening to that song, you were almost certainly listening to it on cassette tape. Today, you're more likely to be listening to Justin Bieber or hopefully someone a little bit better on an iPod or another digital device. The internet and digital media has changed so much about the media landscape and about our lives in the last 20 years that it's hard to imagine. It was only 6 or 7 years ago that here in Germany, most people never used the internet. Today, of course, that's not a problem. In most countries that we survey, people actually spend more time online than they spend watching TV or using any other medium. It's true in the US, it's true in Britain, and within the next year or two, it'll be true here in Germany as well. And so when we think about the customers that we're trying to reach, we think about the audiences that we're presenting our media and our content to, the question isn't, are they using these tools? It's, how are these using these tools? And with that in mind, we've created an idea at Forrester called the always addressable customer. We've gone very quickly from a place where almost the majority of the population didn't use digital tools or interactive media at all to a world in which they're using it increasingly commonly, not just from one device, but from many, not just from one location, but from many. And when we look at the always addressable customer, we talk about customers who access content and information from multiple devices. These are people who own and use at least 3 different connected digital devices. We talk about customers who go online frequently. The amount of frequency people show with digital tools continues to rise amazingly. And we're looking in this case at people who go online multiple times per day. Again, moving from a benchmark a few years ago of people who just went online at least once a month. The third thing that we're looking at today is people who go online from multiple locations. These are customers who are accessing the internet and its content from multiple locations, including at least one that they define as on the go. And when you look at the intersection of these 3 behaviors, people who have multiple devices, go online multiple times per day, from multiple locations, including on the go, that's what we think of as the always addressable customer. And again, it wasn't long ago that here in Germany, most people never use the internet at all. Today, a shocking number of your customers are already in this always addressable customer segment. In the US, that number is nearly 40%. Nearly 40% of everyone in America fits into all three of these categories and is an always addressable customer. The younger a user is, of course, the more likely they are to fit in that category, but some of the grandmas in the airports with the iPads fit in here as well. And 9% of people over the age of 65 in the US are always addressable customers. We're collecting the data right now to see who fits in this segmentation here in Europe, but we know the numbers aren't going to be far behind. And when you start to think about this always addressable customer and what it means for how you provide them with content and with media, how you market to them as a marketer, it has a very big impact in the way you reach out to these people. Because here's the thing, 5 or 10 years ago, when the internet was new, these technologies were the point. People couldn't wait to use their fancy new phones. They couldn't wait to go online and play with their PCs and see what was on the web. But now that people are using connected devices many times a day from many different locations, it's not about the technology for them anymore. Whether you're providing people with media and content, or whether you're marketing goods and services, your goal is to think beyond the technology, to start to make the technology invisible, and to use it to better support your customer and to serve their needs. When I think about the theme for our conference this week, the post-digital, what I think post-digital means is paying less attention to the technology and more attention to how the technology helps us help the people that we're trying to reach. I mean, again, think back just a couple of years to what was cool in applications and what was cool in digital technology. Wow, I can light a virtual Zippo lighter on my iPhone. Wow, I can drink a virtual pint of Carling beer on my phone. These were cool, but they weren't useful in any way. They didn't meet any actual customer need, and they were almost entirely about the interesting things that we could do with the technologies themselves. But as we start to look at the always addressable customer, again, it's not the technology that matters to them. Your audience now wants you to help them accomplish the things that they're trying to do. And so we talk about buzzwords like social and local and mobile, but your customers don't care about social, at least not nearly as much as they care about our ability to use social tools to make content more personal to them. If you can use social tools to tell me what my friends think about a product or a service or what kind of media they're consuming, that's when social becomes useful to an audience member. They don't care about local nearly as much as they care about the convenience of finding something near them. And the technology that makes it happen is great, but at the end of the day, what really fascinates them, what really makes it worthwhile, is their ability to get something done as a result. And they don't care about mobile nearly as much as they care about mobility and context. Can you use mobile technology to help me figure out how my location, where I am at this moment in time, impacts the media I'm consuming and the things that I want to learn? If you stop focusing on technology and start focusing on using it to solve your customers' needs, then you wind up with things like something we've seen in Singapore from a company called StarHub. Among other things, they sell music through a digital music store. And they work with leading retailers in Singapore to place special RFID tags on clothing items in those retail shops. And so now when customers bring an item of clothing into the dressing room to try it on, the RFID tag triggers the system that plays music that's appropriate for the style of clothing that you're trying on. If your shirt's shiny, maybe it's going to play club music. If it's plaid, maybe it'll play folk or country and western. But it makes the customer's experience a little more interesting and a little bit better. And once that customer leaves the dressing room, a near-field communication message pops up on their phone that says, if you like that song, you can just go grab it right now. There was incredible integration of technology required here with mobile and local technologies. There's even a social component on the back end once you've downloaded the music. But this wasn't about the technology. This was about making someone's life more interesting, bringing them content that was relevant to where they were, and using these tools to help fulfill their customers' needs. If you're trying to vend media, you're trying to get content to people, using social and local and mobile, using technology to answer someone's needs is always going to trump using technology just for technology's sake. And it's not true just in the media business. It's very true for marketers as well. My job title at Forrester is an analyst in interactive marketing. And so people come to me with interactive marketing questions. And I spend most of my time telling them to stop thinking about the fact that it's interactive and start thinking about which channels can help them support their customers and fulfill their marketing goals. Customers relate to us as companies in 4 ways, according to this customer life cycle. They discover what we have to offer, they explore what we have to offer, they buy from us, and then they engage with us. And if you're doing it right, that engagement drives new discovery, and you generate this customer life cycle. And the question of where do we use analog and where do we use digital is the wrong question to ask. Just as technology shouldn't be used for technology's sake with consumers and with media, we shouldn't be using technology for its own sake as marketers either. We have to figure out how we use these tools in the background to better get our jobs done and to better support our customers as they go through this customer life cycle. When they're discovering what we have to offer, we need to use reach tools. It doesn't matter if those tools are digital or if they're analog. When they're exploring what we have to offer and buying from us, they need depth. We need to use our depth channels. Again, it doesn't matter if they're digital or not. And when they're engaging with us, we need engagement and relationship channels. So we encourage marketers to look at which channels can help them provide which benefits at different stages of the customer life cycle. When you want to reach somebody, there's a whole list of tools that are great for reaching people, and some of them are traditional and some of them aren't. When you need to provide depth to people, again, there's a list of tools. Some of these are interactive, and some of these are very old-fashioned. When you need to engage people or create relationships, again, there's a mix of traditional and digital tools. The question isn't when do we use digital and when do we not use digital. It's not where does technology fit into the story. It's simply which tools, no matter what kind of tools they are going to help us get our job done. And when you think about it in this way, you stop dividing your budget as a marketer between traditional and analog, or even earned and owned and paid, and you start building these 3-layer brand ecosystems with depth and engagement and reach layers. Technology becomes invisible within your marketing plan, just as hopefully it became invisible in the way that you provided media to people. And smart marketers are doing this, just as we see smart companies like StarHub doing the same thing for their customers. So Porsche did a great campaign in the US last year, where they use a depth tool, primarily their own website, to tell people about how their cars provide a magical ride every day. They push this into engagement channels, such as Facebook and YouTube, but of course they actually sent postal mail to people because they knew that was still a great engagement channel. And when they needed to use reach channels, they looked at both traditional and interactive channels as well, and their TV campaign was one of the best parts of that branding program. The question for Porsche was not where do we use technology, it was what do we need to accomplish? How do we use these tools to get things done? Just as the question for StarHub wasn't how do we do something cool with technology, it was how do we provide a more interesting experience that gets our content into these people's hands. We need to make technology invisible. When I think about that always addressable customer and the future of media and the future of marketing, the more we can make technology invisible and simply use it to help us get stuff done, the more likely we are to succeed. Again, technology has changed almost everything about your audience. And the next wave of content and services is changing them again. They're becoming always addressable. And we need to start to react to this addressability as marketers and as media companies. But it's not about the technology. Media companies and service providers have to use technology to fulfill customers' needs and help them get access to the content that they want. And likewise, marketers need to use technology, regardless of whether it's analog or traditional technology, to build effective brand ecosystems and support their customers through that life cycle. If you make technology invisible, then you're going to succeed. Thank you very much.